There's a specific eye nutrient combination that slowed vision loss by 25% in a clinical trial run by the National Eye Institute over 5 years. This number comes from the AREDS2 trial, a randomized study with 4,000 participants between 50 and 85 years of age across America. The trial was funded by the National Institutes of Health, conducted across 82 clinical centers, and remains the reference for nutritional support of aging eyes worldwide. The 25% reduction was specifically seen in participants who had low dietary intake of these compounds, the exact population most likely watching this video right now. The combination is widely available in any pharmacy, costs about the same as a fast food meal per month, and yet most ophthalmologists never recommend it during regular eye exams. This is not a miracle cure, not a way to restore vision you have already lost, but a documented way to slow natural decline of your central vision after 50. Age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 50 in the developed world, affecting around 11 million Americans currently, with that number growing. In this video, you will learn what the exact combination is, how it works biologically in your eyes, what doses the trial used, and who should not take it. Here is the practical protocol, simple enough for daily application, but with measurable biological effects documented across multiple clinical trials over more than 15 years of careful research. Step 1. Take 10 milligrams of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin daily, the exact doses used in the famous AREDS2 trial. Step 2. Take 160 milligrams of bilberry extract, standardized to 25% anthocyanins daily, ideally with a meal containing some healthy fat for better absorption. Step 3. Take both supplements at the same time with your largest meal of the day, because these compounds are fat-soluble and need dietary fat for proper absorption. Step 4. Also add carotenoid-rich foods to your weekly meals, including kale, spinach, egg yolks, corn, and orange bell peppers, all natural sources of these compounds. Step 5. Give the protocol at least 3 to 6 months before evaluating any improvements, because the macular pigment density rebuilds gradually and reaches measurable levels over time. That is the entire core protocol. Simple enough for daily application, but with biological effects documented in over 20 years of ophthalmological research at major academic institutions. Quick thing before we go deeper into the biology, because what comes next is exactly the kind of science I cover in detail in the book I wrote about longevity. I wrote a book called The Longevity Blueprint, with a 30-day plan that organizes this approach and many others into a clear framework you can actually follow. More on that at the end of the video, for anyone who wants the bigger picture, in which this specific eye protocol fits as one practical tool among many. Now to the biology, because understanding how this combination works in your eyes helps explain why the trial showed such consistent results across the years of follow-up. This is Dr. Kenzo Longevity, the channel about the science behind a long and vital life after 50, with clear explanations and no pharma promotion of any kind. Lutein and zeaxanthin are 2 carotenoid pigments, the only 2 carotenoids in nature that concentrate specifically in the central retina, in a region called the macula, responsible for sharpest vision. Your eyes filter incoming light through a yellow pigment layer made entirely from lutein and zeaxanthin, accumulated from your diet over decades, and slowly depleted as you age past 50s. This yellow pigment layer is called the macular pigment, and its thickness is directly measurable using a clinical test, with higher density consistently associated with better visual function later. The macula is where your central vision happens, the part of your visual field that lets you read this text, recognize faces, and perceive fine details necessary for independence. When the macular pigment thins with age, the sensitive photoreceptor cells underneath become exposed to damage from blue light and metabolic byproducts, which is the root cause of macular degeneration. Bilberry is a small, dark blueberry native to northern Europe, similar to American blueberries, but with significantly higher concentrations of the active compounds called anthocyanins, the deep purple pigments. The mechanism by which this combination supports eye health is multi-layered and acts simultaneously across 4 different biological pathways that together produce the documented overall positive effect. First, lutein and zeaxanthin physically rebuild the macular pigment, which absorbs the high-energy blue light that would otherwise damage your photoreceptor cells over time and accelerate the aging process. Second, both compounds act as potent antioxidants directly within the retinal tissue, neutralizing the free radicals constantly produced by your photoreceptors during normal light processing throughout each day. Third, the anthocyanins in bilberry improve microcirculation in the small blood vessels of the retina, helping deliver oxygen and nutrients to your sensitive eye cells more efficiently throughout the day. Fourth, all 3 compounds reduce inflammation in the retinal pigment epithelium, the supporting cell layer underneath your photoreceptors that becomes dysfunctional in age-related macular degeneration over decades of life. These 4 mechanisms work synergistically together, which explains why the AREDS2 trial showed consistent effects on multiple visual outcomes rather than just one isolated measurement. Quick thing here, because what you just learned is only one building block of a much larger story about aging vision and longevity after 50 years of active living. My book, The Longevity Blueprint, dedicates entire chapters to the natural repair pathways, the forgotten plants, the mitochondrial health, and gentle routines that all work together over time. The first link in the description takes you there in case you want the bigger picture in which this eye protocol is one practical tool among many other proven strategies. Now to the most important clinical study, the AREDS2 trial, published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2013 by leading researchers. The trial enrolled 4,200 participants at 82 clinical centers, all of them between 50 and 85, with intermediate macular degeneration in at least one eye. Participants were randomly assigned to receive 10 milligrams of lutein with 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin, or omega-3 fatty acids, or both, or a placebo over 5 years. The results showed that participants with the lowest dietary intake of lutein and zeaxanthin had a 25% reduction in progression to advanced macular degeneration over the study period. A follow-up analysis published in 2022 confirmed long-term benefits, showing that participants on the lutein-zeaxanthin combination had slower progression of geographic atrophy over time. The trial also established lutein and zeaxanthin were safer than the original AREDS formula, which used beta-carotene that increased serious lung problems in former smokers. Importantly, the benefit was strongest in participants already deficient in these nutrients from their normal diet, which is true for most adults eating modern Western diets without daily leafy greens. Now to the practical details that ultimately determine whether your application in real life will actually achieve the documented effects over several months of consistent supplementation in real practice. The 5 most common mistakes that prevent the protocol from delivering its documented effects, even when people technically follow the basic recommendations correctly over several weeks of consistent use. Mistake 1, buying cheap supplements without standardized dosing or third-party testing, which often contain far less active compound than the label claims at the time of purchase. Look for brands tested by USP certification with clear standardization of the active compounds, and ideally manufactured in the United States or Western Europe for quality. Mistake 2, taking the supplements on an empty stomach, which dramatically reduces absorption because lutein, zeaxanthin, and the active bilberry compounds are all fat-soluble molecules requiring dietary fat. Always take both supplements with your largest meal of the day, ideally one that contains healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts, or fatty fish, to maximize absorption. Mistake 3, giving up after just a few weeks because no visible changes are happening yet. When the macular pigment takes 3 to 6 months of consistent supplementation to rebuild, plan for at least 6 months of consistent daily supplementation before evaluating any improvement, and ideally pair this with a baseline and follow-up exam by your ophthalmologist. Mistake 4, ignoring food sources and relying only on supplements when the AREDS2 participants who responded best had a baseline dietary intake from their food. Add carotenoid-rich vegetables to your weekly meals, especially cooked kale, spinach, collard greens, plus egg yolks from pasture-raised hens in the most bioavailable natural form. Mistake 5, smoking or being recently a heavy smoker, which dramatically increases oxidative damage in the retina and largely overrides any benefit you might otherwise get from the supplementation protocol. If you are a current smoker, the most powerful eye intervention is quitting, not supplementing, because the daily oxidative damage from smoke overwhelms the protective capacity of any antioxidants. Now to the important safety section, because although this combination is generally very safe, several specific medical situations require real medical consultation before starting the protocol at home. Current and former heavy smokers should be especially careful, because some carotenoid combinations have shown increased serious lung issues in this specific population during long-term supplementation. The good news is that AREDS2 removed beta-carotene because of this risk and substituted lutein and zeaxanthin, which do not carry the same risk. People taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin should consult their doctor first, because high doses of bilberry can have mild antiplatelet effects that may interact with their prescription blood thinners. People scheduled for any surgery should discontinue bilberry at least 2 weeks before the procedure because of the potential effect on blood clotting during the surgical recovery period. People with bleeding disorders should not take bilberry without specific medical clearance because of the potential effects on blood clotting documented in some preclinical research over many years. Pregnant and breastfeeding women should not take high-dose carotenoid supplements without medical consultation because the safety of supplemental doses during pregnancy has not been thoroughly established in human studies. For everyone else without these specific conditions, the combination remains one of the best documented natural supplements for supporting the natural decline of vision over the years after 50. Now to the honest scientific limitations of what this protocol can realistically achieve and what it cannot, because viral content often promises far more than the actual research truly supports. The title says, this combination slowed vision loss by 25% in an NIH trial, which is factually accurate, but needs important context to be interpreted correctly by viewers. The 25% reduction was specifically in the subgroup of participants with low dietary intake of these nutrients at baseline, not in the overall study population. For the overall trial population, the reduction in progression to advanced macular degeneration was about 10%, statistically significant, but smaller than the headline number from the specific subgroup analysis. The protocol does not restore vision already lost, does not cure macular degeneration, and does not prevent the disease entirely, only slowing its natural progression over years of consistent use. Bilberry has weaker evidence than lutein and zeaxanthin, with support for eye fatigue from screen use rather than dramatic vision improvement, and the famous night vision story is largely legend. This combination is most effective as part of a broader strategy for healthy aging, including a Mediterranean-style diet rich in colorful vegetables, regular exercise, and good blood pressure control. One last thing before this video ends, because if you watch this far, you are someone who takes their health seriously and wants to make thoughtful decisions about the future. If everything we covered today, the protocol, the mechanisms, the studies, made sense to you, then this is the right moment to consider the next step in your longevity journey. My book, The Longevity Blueprint, takes this entire evidence-based approach and organizes it into a clear 30-day framework that you can follow consistently week by week over time. In the book, you will find clear morning routines, specific foods, meal timing strategies, the fiber and protein approach, and the science behind every single daily lifestyle decision explained simply. The same calm, evidence-based tone as on this channel, no miracle promises, no hype, just the practical version of everything we discuss here every single week about real longevity. The first link in the description is where you will find it in case you want the bigger picture in an organized book for daily application over the coming weeks. The Science of Natural Eye Health Support offers an evidence-based addition to conventional care for many adults who want to maintain their precious vision into the older years.